Welcome back to your mat. I wanted to share with you today some things I've learned about Pigeon from working with my own body and working with my students who may have difficulty getting into Pigeon. So I'm going to show you a few ways that we can work together to make Pigeon more accessible. I have some props behind me. I use everything when I'm practicing. So I have 2 blocks. I have my meditation cushion, which is full of buckwheat, and I have a bolster. So we'll work with some of these things, maybe all of these things, in making Pigeon pose a little more accessible. So I'm going to come to the top of my mat and sit in Baddha Konasana. So this is a transition that I find accessible to my students, and something you might like to try for yourself is coming to Baddha Konasana, working with this particular stretch, and then when I'm moving toward Pigeon, I keep my right leg in front, I lean to the right, and I slide my left leg behind me. So for some, and you'll notice I'm heel-toeing my foot closer to the edge of the mat, and I'm feeling a stretch in my left hip and a little bit in my right. And for some of my students, this may be as far as they get. So I make sure that they're supported and that their alignment is great by using either a block underneath the hip or using any blankets to prop them up. When they're ready to go deeper, you can have them lean forward and lift the back leg up and turn it under. So then you can adjust them any way you like. I'm taking my meditation cushion, I'm going to do this on the other side so you can see as well, and propping it underneath my hips and making it a little bit more stable and comfortable for them. I turn my back toes under to help protect my knee, but you can also have them press the top of their foot into the floor. That's one way I work with them coming into Pigeon pose. So I'll show it to you on the other side. So sitting in Baddha Konasana, and then leaning to the left. You can either come into an S pose this way for your students, or you can heel toe your left foot to the right side of your mat, lean to the left, push into the hands, and walk the leg back behind you. And then you can adjust. And if your students need more support, blanket, bolster, meditation cushion, block underneath the hips to help them move into Pigeon. So that's one way you could work with Pigeon. Another way I like to work with Pigeon is with a bolster. Some of my students can't have a lot of weight on their knee or have a hard time with their knee in Pigeon. So I bring the bolster and I slide my foot on top of the bolster. I walk my right foot to the left side of my mat and I sit onto the bolster. So now I'm supported in my Pigeon pose, and you can fold forward this way. Sometimes it's tricky getting out of this pose, so I have people roll onto their butt and remove their leg to get into the pose. I'm going to show it to you on the second side. I have them step to the middle, so they're in a lunge pose, walk the right leg back, and heel toe the foot to the side and lower into the pose. Okay. So now their hip is supported. I'm feeling a really big stretch in my left hip. And then coming out of this pose, it's not graceful, but it's practical. Lean back and slide the leg around. Another way you could use the bolster in the pose is if people are already able to come to Pigeon pose, you can just have them slide the bolster underneath their hip for support. A block works there as well. Now, if you have students who have knee injuries and any prone-facing Pigeon poses don't work, you can have them just come right onto their back and play with Pigeon on their back. So you're probably familiar with this, making sure you're flexing your foot, crossing your right foot over your left knee. You can stay here, place your hand on the right thigh, work it toward the floor, or you have the option to bring it into your chest. So that works for students who can't do Pigeon on their knees. Another way to take Pigeon to a more accessible place is you may need to use a wall in some cases, is you can do a standing Pigeon. So making sure that they're rooting down through their feet, taking a deep breath in, finding their drishti point. I'm going to root down through my left foot, cross my right foot on top, and come into Pigeon. You'll notice that my foot is flexed, and I'm using this as a balance pose. You can do this on both sides as a way to have people work with Pigeon. Keeping in mind, if you want to make yoga accessible, you have to be okay with seeing people do poses in several different ways in your classes. And for students, it's okay to do what works best in your body. The beauty of yoga is we get to adjust the asana to fit our body, not our body to fit the asana. I hope you found this helpful for your practice. And remember, it's not about adjusting the body for the practice, it's about adjusting the asana for the body. Thanks.